Maya, how long did the high last for you? Where I'm talking like, you know, it doesn't get bigger than Super Bowl, right? You're going to perform Super Bowl with Madonna, 150 plus million people watching. That's cream of the crop, right? Which I even think that led to a lawsuit, if I'm not mistaken, like a $1.5 million lawsuit, because you gave him the bird, or what was the issue there?
The bird.
Right.
Yeah. I gave them the bird. Then I got sued. Yeah, that's what happened. That was 212.
That was 212.
Yeah.
And why did they sue you for giving the bird? Because Janet gave more than a bird, and I don't know if she got sued. She was celebrated. What's the difference? So that's the image where you did that? Mm-hmm. And that's what got the NFL to sue you? Okay. And then apparently that 1.5 turned into even more afterwards, right? It
was 16.6.
How could they justify a $16.6 million lawsuit?
I know.
What ended up happening to that? Did that just get dismissed? And
yeah, luckily. Well, I'm not supposed to talk about it. That was the thing. They wanted me to apologize, and I said no, because I thought that was the silly thing to be worked up over it. And I said that I wanted to see the number of, because for Janet, like 500,000 people apparently wrote in to complain, and I was like, can I see how many people complained about my bird? And they told me it was 222. And I was like, that's just silly. Like, you can't sue me over 222 people complaining. I mean, especially if like 120 million people watched it, it doesn't make sense. But
do you know if Janet ended up paying a fine or no? CBS fined $550,000 for Super Bowl incident. CBS 20 owned and operated station with each fined the maximum amount for Janet Jackson's Super Bowl incident, $550. To go from $550 to $16 million, that's a lot of. It's probably the most expensive middle finger.
I'm the bad girl. I was the bad girl. Not I am. I was the bad girl. So in everyone's mind, it was like the other. She's like invading America with a middle finger, and we have to make an example out of her or something.
Got it. So how long did the high last? When you went in and the fast high life, money coming in, success, fame, how long did that last?
Well, they say that the Beatles wrote all their best songs in 4 years. So I knew I had about a 4-year window. I would say like that, So, like, maybe... it actually lasted a bit longer than that, because 2005 to maybe 2013, and then I wanted to also spend more time being a mum. And it started feeling like it wasn't right to be everywhere and, and give such a, priority to my career, and, so I think it was a combination of two things. It's like the Super Bowl happened, but also my kid was like 3 at the time, and it was important to like settle somewhere and put him in school and, start kind of looking at it differently.
Got it. Was it like a sudden disconnect from everything, or was it a, gradual distancing from the limelight?
Okay, well, there was a moment when I signed with Roc Nation I went into the custody battle zone, and things, got difficult. I think that album should have been better than it was, and it wasn't. And I think that's when I discovered how sort of connected everything was, and you couldn't really bypass it. Whether it didn't matter how great my songs were or what they were, representing or how real it was, or, you know, because before I always assumed, or the artists that I like in music were always very authentic, you know. And I always thought that music was about that. That there is like this commercial aspect where you had pop music, where you have 20 writers come in and make the most incredible pop song, and it's a pop song that's especially written for the chart, and it's $1 million song, and you had that, but simultaneously you had very authentic artists, you know. And I felt like I was probably the last of that, you know. And then after that, the space for that kind of started to deplete because this became such a tied up thing, you know. It's like the era of Drake, you know. And
so you don't put Drake in the authentic category?
No, I put him in the business category, you
Got
know.
it.
But by then it all become business.
How
I
about
think.
Taylor Swift? Also business, or?
I don't really know her history, actually. Like, I don't actually know where Taylor Swift comes from. Like, if she actually is a songwriter and came through country music or whatever. I haven't studied
Taylor's history.
Yeah, I haven't actually. It's like we live in two different spheres, I suppose. But yeah, in the hip hop world, it was definitely like it was already happening. You know, by 2008, when companies were buying up the way you sell tickets to concerts, the alcohol that's sold at the concerts, to the venue, and then to the thing, and then the marketing, and the blogs and the platform. Like, everything was being bought by one thing, you know. So I that's also why I felt like maybe I was the last authentic thing that happened, because I came at that time when internet was liberal, you know, or that it was free world, you know. And so the concept of blogs, the concept of internet, like downloads, and the concept of social media that was just kind of like free and designed for like a purpose of actually, you know, communicating whatever people was into. And all of this was kind of fresh, you know. So I would say that it was all kind of tied in, but it's kind of very interesting to think about it. It's like my window was probably the same window as the internet, you know. And then when it got tied up and sewn up and owned, it's like the things they get rid of is that sort of authenticity.
Yeah. You said if I was today, you wouldn't know who I am. I wouldn't be here right now if it was
definitely
today.
not.
Because your timing was almost good, because you were able to kind of, you know, almost create your own path of success. But you said, I asked you a question. I said, how dark and deceptive and, you know, is the music industry? You said there's a good and there's a bad, and a lot of times the most powerful people make it all the way to the top.
I'm philosophical. You're right. That is a dark thing. But I think that is in every industry, you know.
You think it is? You think it's in every industry?
Do you think that's in the pharmaceutical industry?
For sure,
yes.
Absolutely.
Is it in the military-industrial complex?
Absolutely,
yes.
For sure.
Is it in social media world of like, you know, online companies and whatever? I think so. Is it in the banks? Yes. Like it is across the board.
But a lot of it is for profit, which makes sense. The motive is profit. Music sometimes, you know, when you read, again, I'm not in it. I'm just purely a bystander that reads some of these stories sometimes. Music is, you hear about sometimes the abuse of talent, or the taking advantage of the talent, or the ruthless side of it where people are controlled and they're owned for many, many years to come, and they better do this or else. Where on the business side, the big pharma side, the military-industrial complex, I think that's a lobbyist. You got a lot of lobbying going on.
But see, mine was a political issue.
Yeah.
So I don't put it to like Jay-Z did this thing, because I just saw them as they're all American artists. They have to do that to you. Because I was a political artist, you know, and so I feel like, especially like supporting Julian Assange, like that happened in 2010, like 2 years before the Super Bowl event. So when you have American companies using you as a template, but creating artists that they can benefit off that make 100 times more money with your template, I wasn't offended, because of course that is what they will do. That's just how it goes in the history of how that has happened.
In these uncertain times, if there's anything we need people to believe the future looks bright. So if you've heard about me saying this mission to you, we're on a mission to get 1 million people to wear this gear, and this is what we're doing. If you buy one of these hats, there's a category of buying one hat, getting the second one free. If you haven't yet worn this gear publicly, go ahead and test it out. Buy some of the gear, wear it in public, and see how many people will stop by and say, you also watch Valuetainment? You also follow PBD Podcast? I do too. Place your order. Go to vtmerch.com, click on the link above or below, place your order, and represent the VT and the PBD Podcast gear.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.